Folks, if you are a share fisher, you definitely need to watch this because we're going to talk about all the tax traps that you can fall into. And in particular, HMRC's net is closing in. Now, apologies for the fishing puns, but let's get straight into it, shall we? So, self employment, first of all. If you are a share fisher, so you're not employed, then you do have to do a tax return. It's not a case of wanting to do one or not. You have to do one. The tax year is the 6th of April to the 5th of April, but you can do your accounts from the 1st of April to the 31st of March. I do all of my share fisherman accounts for that period. Don't bother doing 6th of April to 5th of April. It's just a pain. Now, we're going to talk next about why HMRC are going to catch up with you if you haven't already been reporting your income. Many years ago, before COVID, they had what was known as an enabling agreement for share fishers where they were in serious breach of not doing tax returns or paying tax. I cannot see that coming back again because they've given plenty of opportunity to share fishers to get up to date. So, what information do the revenue have already? Well, they request every year to boat owners what's known as a section Schedule 23. It used to be known as a Section 16 return. They request all of the details of the crew that are receiving a cruise share. So that's full name, address, date of birth, national insurance number, UTR number, VAT number if it's available. And they are legally required to send that information. If they send incomplete records, they can even be fined. So that's why they have to do that information and they get it done. And they then report how much the crew have received. So the revenue already have this database of names and income, and they cross-reference that to those that are submitting tax returns, and they will come after those that aren't doing it. So they do know a lot more than you think. So tax payment deadlines, there's two really, January and July. You make a payment on account in January, a balancing payment in July, and then the following January, you do a balancing payment if you've underpaid for that year, and then you pay your next payment on account for the following year. They only apply payments on account when your tax bill is over £1,000 and then the tax deducted at source is less than 80%. So if you are employed and your total tax for the year is 10 grand, but 9 grand of that was through employment, that's 90%, you wouldn't need to make payments on account. So start saving now. Now, a lot of you that are old enough will remember the share fisherman scheme. It used to be that the trawler agents or the boat owner would take a percentage of your income of your cruise share and put it into the Barclays share fisherman scheme, and the revenue would dip into that every 6 months to take your tax and issue refunds through there as well. It was a really good scheme, quite honestly. It did work. It did help people with saving, and in 2020 they scrapped it. So back then, deckhands would generally take 20%, and then those other ones that weren't deckhands, so your skippers, your first mates, everybody else, would do 30% because they were earning higher, and it did work. Now, you don't have the share fisherman scheme now, but there's no reason why you can't set up your own savings account and ask your boat owner, right, I want you to put 30% of my cruise share into that account and the other 70% into my spending account there. It really does work. Honestly, do it. It does help. Expenses you can claim now. The share fisherman scheme, like I said, ceased in 2020. We used to be able to claim the sea kit allowance, which off the top of my head was £700, and that covered a lot of items. Now you still have to do proper old school accounting. So you have to claim for your expenses that were wholly and exclusively. So that means that they were the only reason for buying those tools, the protective clothing, those expenses were for your job. And there's no duality of purpose. So talk to your accountant on that one if you don't already have that discussed. So VAT registration catches out share fishermen all of the time. Now, we haven't really seen a big increase in the VAT registration threshold for a few years, but if you're a successful share fisher and your turnover over a rolling 12-month period exceeds 90,000, you have to register for VAT. It's not a case of, the revenue will never know. They will find out, and you will have huge penalties, and you will have to go back and to the date that you went over the threshold, and that can end up costing you tens of thousands, and I have seen it, and it is not nice. So at the end of each month, you have to go back and add up your turnover for that 12-month period. So let's do an example. I get to the end of 31st of March 25. I add up my income, my turnover, going back to April 2024 to 31st of March 25. If it goes over 90,000, I register for VAT. If it doesn't, I move on. Get to the end of April 25, I go back to May 24, add up for the 12 months, do I go over 90,000? You just do that every single month. It's not really an option. You just got to do it. But a lot of people do benefit from being VAT registered. So if you think a lot of boat owners, they are all VAT registered because they are making zero rated sales. So they reclaim VAT nearly every quarter. They get it back from the revenue. So if they are being invoiced by you for your cruise share plus VAT, they'll claim that VAT back anyway, but it means you can claim your VAT on expenses. Making tax digital for income tax, this is something that is still very, very unknown to a lot of people. It is coming in. It's been rumbling on for 10 years. The revenue are absolutely adamant now that it's not going to get delayed. Now, you fall under MTD for income tax if your turnover from self-employment and or rental income exceeds 50,000 in 24-25. So you've got to be mindful of this because the threshold goes down every year. So from 25-26 is 30, and then 26-27 is 20. You will have to submit to Hmrc a quarterly update through MTD compliance software. So you're going to need accounting software, and you're going to need to do a quarterly update to the revenue, reporting your income and expenditure. And there is no option about that. There will be penalties. There's a new penalty regime. So talk to your accountant on that if you haven't already started to do so. Next up, we've got incorporation. A lot of share fishers do incorporate, and there are certain rules that allow you to do that. You've got to be really careful. You've got to seek advice on this. Don't just go and do it because you might fall under IR35. You might not be meeting the requirements to be a limited company on that. So, in summary, if you're self-employed, you've got to do a tax return. You've got to pay your tax. The share fisherman scheme ceased, which we were all very disappointed to see because it did work. And I remember at the time there was a chap called Peter who worked for the Hmrc in the Southwest. He was a revenue officer that if you had a problem, you could actually go and talk to. And unfortunately, they shut the fishing unit in Exeter. And the relationship between accountants, fishermen, and Hmrc just disappeared after that. So we were working together to try and keep things going and communicate, but that died on just before COVID, really. Expenses, remember, they have to be wholly and exclusively. VAT registration threshold is 90,000. Making tax digital is coming. Watch my other videos on that. Incorporation, yes, it is possible, but you have to follow the rules. Tax savings, make sure you plan ahead. Now, I would always say apply the 30% rule. Take 30% of your cruise share, put it into a savings account. That should cover your tax in July and in January, and then what's left over is a little Brucey bonus at Christmas time. So if you want to get in touch, there's my contact details there. I've been working with fishermen throughout sort of the Southwest, really, for 16 years. I worked in Brixton for many years. I've worked in Plymouth for years. I understand fishing. I love fishermen. I love fishers in general. It's a great industry, great people working in it. And if you've got any questions, give me a shout. Thank you. Bye-bye.